Hello.
Excusez.
Excusez-moi.
Pardon.
How are you today, Garrett?
S'il vous plaît. Muy bien.
Fresh? Are
Yeah.
you fresh today?
No.
Oh.
Yesterday only.
Never.
But-
Never today.
No, we're doing good. We're fresh. We're, it's a nice mask. I don't know if I've seen that
Do you like
one.
this mask? Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
Sue Moss made it for me. How
Very
about yours?
slick. This was a Janet Bauer.
Janet
doesn't
Bauer.
have the, it's just all elastic, so it doesn't have the old,
The nose
the
bridge.
nice little nose bridge, which does come in handy. I do like the ear flaps too. Sometimes it's, sometimes that one is
Yeah, this
pretty
one ties
intense.
in the back.
But still nice. It's beautiful.
Hi, viewers. We have 2 viewers.
Hey guys.
Hi. First things first. We're gonna do a little. What are we listening to,
I
Garrett?
don't know if you can even hear it, but
Let's see. Look
we're
at this, you
listening
guys.
to Ozawa in Berlioz, Symphonie Fantastique by the Toronto Symphony, which would have been this recording that we're listening to is by the Toronto Symphony, but Berlioz, which I was just reading, was a French composer from 1830, which, if you start reading the back of this that's 2 years post Beethoven's death. So this is still, this was written in the era of Beethoven, but this guy took a normal symphony and added English horn, E-flat clarinet, 2 tubas, 2 harps, plus a percussion section consisting of 4 kettle drums, snare drum, bass drum, cymbals, and bells.
Dang.
It is more truly fantastic portions of the symphony that Berlioz' orchestration reveals itself to the greatest advantage. Unforgettable even in this day and age of its orchestral virtuosity are the gibbering bassoons in the March of the Scaffold. This is interesting. And the startling effects of the E-flat clarinet, brass, pizzicato strings in the bizarre and wild dream of witches' Sabbath.
Whoo, doggy.
So this is
What's up Thursday?
Yeah, this is some wild stuff for 1830 to be calling it the Symphonie Fantastique.
Yeah, man.
Seems like it was saying something at that time, I think.
Sure. Very abstract.
Yeah, this is very cool. So
I love
a
it.
little bit different, but yeah, this is and it's a wild cover. That was why I grabbed it. When I saw the cover, I was like, this is just really cool, and then
So packaging matters.
this time it did. I mean, like, this is what's cool about a record is it's like it's so big.
Yeah.
It's like you can't not use the whole space, and like, you know, we shrunk it down to a CD, which was cool, but then the cover became less detailed, there was less going on, there was more inside, I guess, but like, it wasn't as like, grab your attention the way these were.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said about vinyl and the sleeves that the records come in, because it was a part, it was the only chance you really had to like, have other creative medium beyond the actual music itself. So, and then obviously the description.
Well, and records are coming back.
They're already
Records
back.
are back.
They're back.
They are back.
They're back. I was a while ago now.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, you missed it.
I think I was under a rock for a while.
You were.
Comfy,
And then
cozy.
found you and had to resuscitate you and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a scary time when you found
It
me.
was a little spooky.
Yeah.
But you're okay now, so that's
Whew.
good. I'm gonna go check on my griddle. Gonna do my thingies later.
What are your thingies? Ooh.
Muffins.
What's that, Garrett?
This is a thermogun.
A thermometer?
It's a thermogun. It's a thermometer. It's an infrared thermometer that reads surface temperatures. So it's great for reading the surface temperature of the griddle.
So
pretty much its only 2 use. And other things. Where are you going?
well, I can't unzoom my phone, so.
So we're gonna do the interview from this there.
There we go.
So what do you think? What do you give this? A 10 out of 10?
The cover, it sure does get a 10 out of 10. And we're listening. I don't know if you friends across the video can hear it, but
Yeah.
we have an exciting episode for you today. Ooh, ooh.
Autolyse Autocorrect.
Do you want to go sit in the chairs out here and do this?
We have to make the dough first.
Oh, we're making the dough.
Yeah,
we're actually doing
We
it.
actually have to do the Autolyse first. Okay.
So it's the Autolyse Autocomplete episode, y'all. So Garrett's making an Autolyse dough. If you don't know what that is, you're in the right place, my friends.
Absolutely.
And then we'll answer some questions about what Google searches are occurring in regards to something called the Autolyse.
Autolyse. I was thinking I was gonna make a dough, but I'm actually not making a dough today. So, we'll figure out something to do with this.
What is this substance?
That actually comes from the planet Jupiter.
Oh, it's Jupiter dust.
Yes.
Oh, ignore the window.
We had the window.
No way.
Okay, so Autolyse is
Is it French?
French? Is it French? Is it Italian? I just want to be able to talk about it in a professional manner.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna pull
You've
up
never
this again.
cared about that before. You're just kidding.
Yo.
Yay!
Well, I just want to make sure that we talk about it.
Garrett's got his binders and his books, and he consults them every day. Oh,
Premix. Okay, so this is. I'm just gonna read what this says.
great.
Premix of Autolyse. Optional step in mixing. It's a resting period from the dough, anywhere from 20 minutes to overnight, 24 hours. The process is to increase the dough's extensibility. Extensibility. That's not even the elasticity. So elasticity is your ability to shape the dough. Extensibility is for it to return to its own shape. Better hydration of the flour, so they have more time to absorb all the water, and then enhanced chemical activity.
How does this compare to a pre ferment that we talked about last week?
Yes, so you might incorporate your pre ferment into the Autolyse, especially if your dough is, if a lot of the moisture of your dough is coming from the pre ferment. You might need it to actually. This needs to be at least 65%, is what my notes are saying. So the hydration of it has to be at least 65, right? So that means for every 100 grams of flour, I need 65 grams of water. And let's say I'm making bagels. My overall hydration might not even be that high. So the water and flour proportions might be 100 grams to 50 grams, and it won't come together. And then when you try and mix your other ingredients into it, it's really, really hard, and it's capable when you have a mixer like this, but it's really hard to do at home. So I would not suggest that. This is a great technique for sourdough, because it adds, because your sourdough is like this nice long process that has lots of activity and all these things. It doesn't always allow for the bread to build up strength, and the extensibility is it for it to hold that shape. So when you're baking bread, if you don't have a lot of strength in your dough, maybe you want to do a sourdough and it turn it out, or you go to bake it and you throw it in the pan and it's just like bleh. It kind of there's not enough structure.
Yeah. Anybody have that problem? Go ahead and leave a comment. Yeah, I've seen that around, that people are having that problem with their dough.
Flat sourdough is a very typical thing the first couple times you do it, and this is a very simple process that can really enhance your dough's strength, and really make it easier to work with too, I think.
Great.
So we'll just jump right in. Let's do, so I was just saying that it has to be 65%. I don't want to do 1,000 grams of flour because I don't have that right here. So we'll do 500 grams of flour.
Yeah.
And instead of 650, we'll do 325.
Dang, Garrett the mathematician.
And this is why.
Did you want to tear that or what?
Yes.
Great.
And this is why baking is really easy, right? When you use percentages. So I just did really quick math, and it's all in grams. So to do that in pounds, it would have just taken me forever. Because if I would have said 1 pound of flour, what's 65% of 1 pound? It's 0.65 pounds. Do you know how much 0.65 pounds is? Besides, my scale can measure that.
Right.
Yes. but it's just horrible.
Yeah.
It's just horrible to think about because you're in ounces at that point. And how much is an, 0.65 times 16.
16 ounces.
Your ounces. But anyway, so we're going to go 325. And actually, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go to 400 because then it's going to be easier to knead. And 500. So
grams.
So what's my so if it's 400 and 500, my hydration is actually going to be
80%.
Right?
Yeah.
So 350 wasn't right. 325 would have been right. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I said.
You did say 325, but you knocked it up to 4.
I just went way over 400. So now I'm going to be up at 80% hydration, but that's fine. If I need to add more flour, that's no big deal. Okay.
And you said it had to be at least 65%,
Yeah,
so
it should be
more,
70,
a little more is be all right.
And we're just going to do this by hand because I don't feel like getting my...
Don't forget what we're talking about today, Autolyse. There we go.
Because I don't really feel like getting my mixer dirty for this because it really doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Because this is a very simple thing, and I think you can even see it.
How did you learn about Autolyse, Garrett?
Just the first baking class I took. Actually, nope, that's a lie. I think I read about it first in this book. Great book. I'm always throwing in some more book recommendations. I brought these ones down because I had these up at my house and I wasn't using them. So Bread Alone is a bakery in Vermont, and it's still around, I think. And he's just got so much great information. It's incredible. This book is just so stacked with information. The whole beginning is just the intro and everything. It's just, an introduction to bread, the bakery, their story, organic farmers, and then becoming bread, the grain, the milling, the ingredients, the equipment, time and temperature, methods, and then a family of traditional breads made with the poulish. So
right.
Pre Ferment.
The Pre Ferment. We talked about that.
So we got 60 pages in before you even have a recipe. Right? So
right.
This is a great, really, really cool book. I really loved it. They're a Vermont place, so they're really crunchy and, they do it all very naturally, all the stone ground organic flours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then some great recipes, too. So, Le Baguette.
Le Baguette.
The family of traditional baguettes.
You're so French, Garrett.
Okay, anyway, so we have to go back to this.
Yep, back to the Autolyse.
Okay, so I mixed the dough here.
Flour and water, no yeast.
Just flour and water, right? So this is just, that's all the Autolyse is. It's a premix of just flour and water. So you take all the flour and all the water of your recipe and mix just the two of them together. I'm doing what's called the dry rub right now and cleaning my hands off using flour.
Wow. Dang.
And I'm just going to put that all into my thing. So this looks beautiful, right? You're like, wow, that's a nice dough.
I was thinking that.
You were thinking that,
wow.
weren't you? Well,
that is a nice dough.
What a great dough.
What a great audience.
What a great audience. Okay, so you can tell that just from mixing that in the beginning, there's some strength here, but you can see it falls apart quite easily, and that with a little bit of pressure, you can pull this dough apart, and you can start to see some of the strings, like it's trying to create some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? It's trying to create structure, but it hasn't had enough time to do it. So we're gonna take these two and we're gonna give it some time, about 20 minutes, like I said before, and we're gonna come and look at this again in 20 minutes, and we're gonna see if it acts the same way. Right? So you just saw me there, hold it by a chunk, and it pretty much just falls apart.
Disintegrates.
Yeah, it kind of just falls apart. So that's that's the beginning.
Okay.
That's the short of it, and I think the best way to talk about Autolyse, because I didn't really understand it when I first read it, this is the way to understand what Autolyse does, and you really don't know until you feel it, I think, or see it. So we're going to put that away. I'm going to put a little plastic wrap over it.
Where, are you going to put it in the fridge or just on the counter?
No, on the counter. Just room temperature. There's no yeast in this.
Right. No yeast. Flour and water.
just flour and water, but you're going to incorporate yeast into it or your sourdough into it later, right? So you don't want to cool it down. You want it to be at room temperature because you're going to add other ingredients into it that need it to be room temperature. So you just want this at room temperature. It will be all good. We won't really see anything happening here.
Yeah, because there's no activity. There's
the
no
activity all happens internally.
Internal activity.
So I'm going to go clean my hands off again.
All right, sounds good.
And
Just
sit at the chair at the fireplace for this?
yeah, let's go sit at the fireplace, you guys. We're doing the Autolyse episode. What is Autolyse? We're learning by doing. Garrett has mixed water, flour, and in 20 minutes we're going to see how this strengthens the structure of the dough. In the meantime, Garrett's going to answer some questions because we do autocomplete. Let's do it. So it's about, a little before 10:20, so we'll make it back, Does it have to be 20 minutes? That's a long time. It has to be 20 minutes.
No, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes. But we'll start there and I'll show you whether or not it was 20 minutes. We can sit here by the fireplace. We'll turn the lights on.
Let's get the lights going, huh? Here we are, you guys.
Wonderful.
A little sneak peek into kind of the closed down operations here. COVID-19 hit, as you might know by now, and things changed. So the cafe is not open. Sweet Beet Market's open, though. You can shop with us online. All right, Garrett.
You can go to sweetbeetmarket.com, right?
Is that right? Sweetbeetmarket.com.
Is that right?
I prefer to go to kearsargefoodhub.org/sweetbeetmarket, but everyone's got their.
Like a mouthful.
There's a lot to learn there, though.
I'm just kidding. Definitely go to the kearsargefoodhub.org because it's a wonderful website, curated meticulously by hers truly.
Miss truly. Isa mia, Mario. What are you drinking, Kiffy?
Yeah, sorry about the mask issue.
So celebrities do this sometimes, you guys, and so Garrett's a celebrity.
Obviously, I already did this once, and I am a celebrity, so we all know that. I wouldn't have my own TV show if I wasn't a celebrity.
God, nobody does these days. If you're not a celebrity, you can't have a TV show.
Well, that's just the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is, let's see what we got here, I guess. This is the Autolyse Autocorrect. I thought, Hannah, you did a great job with this. Just in general, I just thought it was, you just heard me say Autolyse, and you were like, let's do an autocorrect. That's funny.
You're saying it wrong, though. It's called an autocomplete.
What was I saying?
Autocorrect. And I've also called it autofill, so everything's confusing and nothing matters.
Oh, right. Oh, it's on your phone when you're typing.
To complete the word.
Right, but it's when your phone, when you make a mistake when you're texting.
Right.
That's autocorrect.
Autocorrect. That is a thing. Okay, is Autolyse.
Autolyse.
This is what people are searching on the internet.
Necessary for sourdough. Okay.
Oh.
We just talked about this,
Let's
basically.
dive in deeper.
Yeah, I think certain. I think it really does because with sourdough bread and with artisanal breads in general, you're looking for a more open and lighter crumb, and they're typically a more moist or a more hydrated dough, and both of those things require less mixing. Now, the more you mix, the more strength you give to a dough, but the more organized the crumb becomes. So if you mix intensely and a lot, you're going to take the bubbles and go from really, really big to really, really small, and you're going to go from really, really chaotic to really organized, right? So the hook on a mixer is made in a very specific way to help organize the structure of the dough. And when I say organized, we mean that chemical composition is going on in there, and if you know anything about chemistry, certain elements and certain compounds like to connect and form more complex
Structures.
things.
Yeah.
I don't even know enzymes and fats and all these different things. So the protein in the flour, when it's hydrated, starts to create it's a carbohydrate. So it's a simple carbohydrate or a sugar that becomes a long strand of molecules. And this is the very complex way of talking about this.
It's great. I'm learning a lot.
What really happens is these strings, and when we were talking about the strings, the literal stringiness of the dough, that is the hydration of the flour trying to organize itself. And that's why dough will take on a stringy appearance sometimes, especially when you're first mixing it, is because that's how it organizes. And then those strings actually connect to create sheets. And then eventually your dough becomes an organization of lots of little sheets, almost. And when you're shaping dough, you'll get it to a point where you're basically have one very thin sheet over the top of it, and that's your outer crust. And you can really tell when you've done that when you go past that shaping process. So let's say you're shaping a boule of sourdough, and you rip the top because you've shaped it too much. You can see how you just ripped that top layer, and that the under layers are still complete, but you just ripped through a layer of gluten. So there's certain things that happen, and once you start working with dough enough, you start to see it, and you start to see the application and how to kind of work with it once you mess up, typically. Like ripping the dough is not a good thing. Ripping through the gluten isn't what you're supposed to do. But it helps you learn a little bit more about what's going on. It helps you not do it again.
Right.
So
really informative.
Necessary is an interesting word. I would say it's advantageous. Autolyse is not necessary for any dough, I don't think. That's a pretty bold statement, but I use it all the time. I try and use it on every dough, but I don't think it's necessary for any loaves. I think you can get away without it, but honestly, it's 20 minutes. And for sourdough, we're talking about typically a 18 to 24 hour process, even at home. So suck it up. It's 20 minutes. Just do it.
You sound like Jillian Michaels.
Yeah, it's just 20 minutes.
And if you're just doing a small bake at home, you could do one loaf with it and one loaf without it and compare.
Sure, absolutely. And I think if you're doing, I think especially if it's under kneaded, or if you're kneading it by hand, if you're not using a mixer, this is a great process to add strength without having to overmix or do extra folds or anything like that. It's a great technique. But not necessarily necessary. Is Autolyse
not necessarily necessary?
Important. No, we just went over this. No, it's incredibly important. Yeah, exactly what I just said. Certain doughs really benefit from having this, and it allows you to undermix. Again, so in the commercial bakery, this is really important because I use a big heavy mixer for every dough, pretty much regardless. So I use Autolyse to undermix my breads, and so I don't have to mix them to completion, let's say, in the mixer. Autolyse helps me be able to have that strength without overmixing, which is important. So I think it's important, absolutely.
Yeah.
But not necessarily necessary. Is Autolyse yeast gluten bread? Is Autolyse yeast gluten bread?
Maybe I'm supposed to write gluten-free. I think I miswrote that. Is it gluten-free? Is Autolyse bread gluten-free?
No. I don't get this. Are you sure? Do you need to type it in again and find out? Is Autolyse yeast? See, it's Autolyse yeast. That's what I'm thinking you meant to write yeast, like there was a comma there, or that there should be a space.
Well, I obviously messed up.
Well, whatever.
What?
Okay. Autolyse.
Let's talk about if it's gluten free.
Can you use the yeast in the Autolyse? So this is a confused person who obviously wrote this. Is it gluten free? If there is wheat flour being used, it is not gluten free. You can use Autolyse with other flours, but I don't think it's going to do anything. I've done this. I don't think it really does anything because wheat makes gluten. rice flour does not make gluten. It just can't do it. It's impossible for it to make gluten. And gluten is that chemical thing I was talking about. That is gluten. The chemical bonds that are being created, the glue that holds it all together is the gluten. So
it's not going to be gluten free.
It's not, I just don't. This question is ridiculous.
And it could be me, or it could be the internet's fault.
Well,
you know.
Well, the internet is always confused.
It's true.
It never really knows what the hell is going on. So, this makes sense that it actually read like that. So I'm not.
You're not mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
Oh, good.
Autolyse is beneficial because it's just the same question.
I was
rewritten in a different way.
I was so curious how you would answer them creatively.
Autolyse is beneficial because it just helps. It's gonna keep it's gonna give you, because the dough's working right now. You know why it's beneficial? Because you can do two things at once, right? So in this process, it's like when it's raining at the farm, and you're going to do an indoor project because it's raining, and you're getting a lot of work done on that indoor project. Mm-hmm. But then you're also watering all your plants, so you're able to do two things at once. So when you autolyse, you let it sit, and time is doing all the work.
Right.
And that means you can do something else, which is always important in this. So it's beneficial because it frees you up some time, but it also all the things that I just said 10 minutes ago, like literally all the things that I just said.
You have been talking for a while.
It's beneficial. What is Autolyse? Period. Method. Well, let me just go into this a little bit more.
Great. You should dig a little deeper, would you?
When you mix flour and water together, no, but I could get I could go grab my book and talk about amylase and the other proteins and enzymes that are created in this time. So it's really crazy because I think a lot of us assume that yeast is like the creator. Like water and flour are dead, and that yeast is all of the energy of the bread. Autolyse really proves that that flour is alive, that water is alive, and that when you put them together, there is a chemical process that's going on, and that they are not inert objects, right? I think we tend to think of them as, or we tend to think of yeast to being what energizes the dough, or sourdough, or whatever it is. But flour and water are both living things, and they both have living composition in it. So it's
like the original breads too, were just flour and water, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah. We didn't figure out sourdough until somebody just left flour and water sitting around too long.
Right. And so like lavash, would lavash be one, or what's some examples of like our ancient breads?
Chapatis, and
yeah.
other unleavened flatbreads.
Yeah.
So you would take the dough, you probably let it sit for a while, and in the process that we're doing, that you could sit overnight at room temperature and you wouldn't see much difference.
Yeah.
Right? So
after 20 minutes, it's pretty much done what it's gonna do. Is that what you're saying?
It's started. Mm-hmm. So the reason why you don't put salt and you don't put yeast in this is because both of those things get in the way of gluten development. So when the yeast starts consuming the sugars, the available sugars, and starts creating gas, that gas interrupts this process of gluten forming, right? So and salt also slows that process. It gets in the way. You can think of it, again, salt's like kind of becomes a liquid ingredient, and they end up coating things, just like oil would. Oil's the same way. Oils and fats end up coating and surrounding gluten, and kind of stifle it from going any further. Certain breads will have you add, even in the mixing process, will have you add the oil at the very, very end, because the mixing process is also helping organize and creating gluten. That mixing does help with it. it doesn't. It's more of an organizational tool. And these molecules, just you can think of like carbon. Carbon things like to be organized in a very specific way, right? It's a hexagon, and that hexagon creates shapes in nature that are they don't look like hexagons per se, but they create shapes in nature.
Patterns, yeah.
Patterns.
Yeah.
They're very specific patterns, and it's no different in bread. The patterns and the molecule shapes are always going to be the same and kind of have take on this unique structure though. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So bread is patterns, it's organization, it's energy,
it's alive.
It's chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
This is neato, gang.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool. Let me back up from you.
Because
so it's been 15 minutes.
you like that one?
I liked your analogy of Autolyse, making the best use of time, just like when it's raining on the farm. That's a great analogy. Well, you're pretty smart. So it's been 15 minutes. But we're just gonna be wrapping up by checking on the dough, I think, because we've taken up enough of your precious time.
There wasn't anything else.
Something you missed. That nose. Get that nose in that mask, dog.
I know, that's the issue with these ones that don't have
They don't have the nose bridge.
They don't have the bridge.
It's not your fault. It's your mom's fault.
I thought I wanted to talk about Autolyse, which is like another...
This is Garrett's binder.
This is our advantages of Pre Ferment, time.
Which you could check out, also recorded.
Mm-hmm. Where are sugars coming from? Flours can naturally contain different types of sugars. Very complex sugars in the form of starch, complex sugars in the form of maltose and saccharose, and then simple sugars, which the yeast likes.
Glucose, fructose.
Mm-hmm. Yep, easy.
Easy peasy, man.
I'm just trying to find, like I said, oh. Right. So, flour contains a lot of different enzymes classified in different groups, each of them playing a specific role in the fermentation activity of the dough. Two enzymatic systems are particularly important for the strength, for the fermentation and the strength of the dough: amylase and protease. And the amylase degrades the starch, the very complex sugars, into more simple sugars that the yeast can consume.
Sure.
So yeast can't eat starches, but they can eat glucose. So the amylase process, this enzyme, which again is happening right there, that part degrades the starch, and the protease degrades the proteins, which also make it easier for
more
the
consumable.
yeast. More consumable. So that's another part of this. This will aid in, again, the strength, but then also in the fermentation. So that's the other part. I knew I was kind of missing.
Incredible. That's really great.
So we're at 2 minutes left, but I have a feeling we probably had it mixed before then.
That's right. I think it's just right, the timing.
Let's pull this bad boy out.
Let's see how different it may or may not look.
Okay, so for one thing, I think that I can see already is it looks wet, right? It kind of has this look.
Smooth.
You can kind of see that there's some stickiness, right? But what I'm going to do is pull on it, and you'll see that there is considerably more strength in this
wow. That is cool.
Right? So, I mean, it's still going to break apart, but like...
It can hold itself up a lot better.
So remember, and what did I do last time?
It just fell apart.
Held it, and that now it is actually holding itself up, the whole weight of it, and it's going to break very soon. You can see the strands that I was talking about, how it creates stringiness, and when you're mixing dough like this, you've probably seen these strings, like all of this. Gluten likes to be organized. It is only going to be organized. That's the only thing it can do, right? It doesn't really have a choice in the matter.
Does anybody really have a choice?
It has no free will once it's mixed with.
Do humans have free will?
I'm gonna hide behind this. So,
drop a comment if you have thoughts on free will. Love to hear them.
So here's another cool thing to look at, and I am expanding this down to now not just show you the strings, but to show you the sheeting of the further organization of the gluten, right down into a sheet. Now let's bring it over to the window.
I can smell it, and it smells good, everybody.
And again, this is just flour and water. So if you mix this really, really well and use the mixer, this would be, and look at this. I mean, this is just mixing by hand, one mix. There is an incredible amount of strength here, and I'm holding up to the window so you can see. Now this is a little bit thicker, right? You can't quite see through that yet. This is what we're doing is called window painting in front of the window. And we are trying to stretch the dough out to a single sheet of gluten. Now you can see that it's cloudy and that there's more than one single sheet.
Than one layer.
And then look at the top, it starts to break. So if while doing this, it shreds, that means the dough is not too full, you haven't fully incorporated and fully mixed the dough. Now, not every bread...
Mask life.
Not every bread requires full mixing. And for a lot of my recipes, you want it to be undermixed, because what we're going to do is fold the dough throughout its fermentation process. What I'm doing right there is folding, right? You can just see how I just folded that into a book. Here, I'll give you that side.
Yeah.
That alone is a soft kneading process, and over the life of the dough and the fermentation process, let's say it's 2 hours, I might do that right at the middle. I might do that in thirds. I might do 2 folds, and this can build up strength for your dough while it's fermenting in a very gentle way. Remember, I talked about over mixing the dough and all those things. This is a nice, easy way. And now I'm shaping this dough, and I'm going to show you the top layer. Right here, come see that one. You see that rip?
Yeah.
So again, you can see how I stretch this out to a single, I don't even know, a cover of glutening, like a blanket of gluten, and you can see how just a little bit of too much pressure can just rip that, stretch that out. And now it's being replaced by the one underneath. But look at all of it now. Now it's all sorts of funky.
Oh, funky donkey.
Because I went too far.
You're always taking things too far,
Yeah.
Garrett.
And this would be over shaped. And this would be too worked, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But again, this is what you learn. You do this, and you see it, and you say, okay, well, next time, I need to let that chill a little bit
Well,
more.
as long as you know what to look for, so that's what you provide, Garrett, is this inside scoop into what to look for in your breads, so that you know how to do better next time, and maybe people wouldn't know to look for the ripping or what that means. So thank you.
Anytime, any of the classes I've ever taken, the biggest takeaway is that you have to go home and do it yourself. The teacher is not going to be there to tell you this. Just like I'm not going to be there in your home to tell you, look out.
Except for when you're following people and stalking them.
Well,
Which
sometimes, yeah. And if you want to send us pictures and videos of yourself shaping dough,
Heck yeah.
please do.
That's right.
Please do. We're always happy to, and I'd love to see what people are doing at home. I think it's awesome. I think home bakers are typically the best because they like to put way more time and energy into single loaves, and it's so much more rewarding baking at home. It's just like your garden at home. It's so rewarding, and you can come here when you're feeling lazy and you want to have some of that tasty Garrett bread.
You can buy Garrett bread on Sweet Beet Market's online store, sweetbeetmarket.com or kearsargefoodhub.org, and you can catch Garrett sharing more of his knowledge. We're going to be back next week. We're going to figure out something to bake, I think.
Yeah. Maybe we can make pizza dough.
Maybe we'll make pizza dough.
Or suggestions.
Drop a comment if you have suggestions.
We always like suggestions. We could do pizza dough.
Why doesn't everyone who watches this try some Autolyse dough and let us know what you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Sound good?
All right. It does. That was fresh yesterday.
What do you say?
Stay fresh.